Welcome to Her Own Boss, the podcast created by graduates to help young women find their inner entrepreneur. Her Own Boss is brought to you by fellow graduates, Anissa, Sarah, Ben, Megan, Lucy, and me, Nikki, as we navigate our way through our careers and speak to inspiring women who can help us on the way. Today I'm joined again by Charlie Munro. Charlie is Vice President of Propositions at Barclays Ventures and has previously worked to support early-stage startups grow and succeed. Charlie has participated in international hackathons and has taught hundreds, including myself, how to pitch their business ideas. Today she's doing just that and walking us through how to prepare a pitch or presentation for funding. If you have a pitch coming up soon, then check out the link in the show notes or description section to access the slide deck which lays out exactly how to format your presentation. Hope you enjoy! Hi, Charlie.
Hi, Nikki. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you? Welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I'm feeling quite warm here in sunny London, but, not going to complain.
Yes, yeah. For the benefit of the audience, we are filming this during the London heat wave with no fans on, so hope you enjoy it. Cool. So in our first minisode, you taught us all how to kind of present ourselves with confidence. And I think this was a really good one because it's really relevant for anyone in any situation. Doesn't really matter what career path you go down, but it would be great to have you now kind of speak more specifically on how to pitch and how to kind of pitch your business idea in that kind of Dragon's Den style format, if maybe you're going for funding or something like that. So I guess what are kind of the most important things to remember when you're pitching and you're trying to get some support for your business idea?
Yeah, of course. So I have quite a lot of experience pitching myself for funding for various new business ideas, but also with coaching lots of people and teams within Barclays to pitch as well. So hopefully I can impart some words of wisdom to your listeners. Today, I just really wanted to go through kind of the key things that you would expect to find in a pitch deck. Normally, when we're sort of helping people, we suggest that they pitch for, it's normally only about 5 minutes and often followed by sort of question and answer, but found some sort of interesting stats, which are that venture capital firms spend an average of 3 minutes and 44 seconds looking at a pitch deck.
Wow.
Dragon's Den contestants have only 60 seconds to explain their business. And the maximum attention span of an investor during a pitch is around 45 seconds.
Oh my goodness.
So 5 minutes may not sound like a lot, but it's really, really important to, capture your audience. And this sort of template or pitch flow that I'm going to walk through today is sort of tried and tested. So hopefully will be useful to everyone.
Amazing.
So there's 3 kind of key areas that the pitch deck should follow. So the first thing we always say is to start with the problem you're solving and information about your customers. So really you want to get the audience bought into why you're solving this problem. The second part is the solution from the customer's perspective. So that's essentially how you're solving the problem that you've identified. And then the third element is really the operation. So it's the what and how you're going to deliver what it is that you're trying to solve. So there's about 10 slides I'm going to run through, and for each one sort of talk a little bit about what you would expect to see on the slide and what sort of questions an investor or, someone listening to your pitch might be thinking and things that you should be bringing out in your voiceover. So the first slide is really talk about what problem are you working on. This slide should explain what problem you're solving. It should be a painful problem and one that people can relate to. Usually it covers a big, broad industry level or perhaps societal problem. The slide will contain things like statistics, news headlines, and other things that you found from your research. It really should show your audience what market or challenge you're focusing on. Is it a problem worth solving? And really, what is your company purpose, mission statement and vision? So really, why are you here and why are you trying to solve this big problem? The second slide is what is the customer pain point? The best solutions usually solve for a specific user and a specific need, and they're normally based on really actionable insights into real life challenges. It might even be something that you faced yourself. The better you understand your customers, their pain points, and the root cause of their pain points, the more likely you are to develop a solution. So on this slide, you should explain who your target customer is, bring out key demographics, maybe give them a photo, even a name, and include insights and quotes from your customer research, whether that's interviews or surveys or something else. And you really want your audience to feel like they know your customers and that they can understand the struggles that you're trying to solve for. So they'll be looking for things like, what unique customer insight do you have? Who are the customers, personas and profiles who experience the pain point? How many people experience this problem? So what is your target addressable market? Is it a growing market? How fast is it growing? Will it still be big in 10 years' time? And what are the location and sort of geographical markets that you're serving? The third slide is where you bring in your solution. So now you've got your audience bought into the problem you're solving, it's time to introduce your high-level solution. This should be really clear and really concise. We often tell people to make it so that a parent or a 12-year-old will understand what it is. Think of yourself as sort of a 60-second elevator pitch or TV advert, and link it back to how you're solving the pain points you've just been talking about. So focus on the value that you're creating from the customer's perspective. You want people to get excited by your vision. Don't just list off features, try and sell a brand and sell a story. Essentially, people are looking for, what's your core product or service? Do you have, mission statement, any kind of taglines, marketing, and really what is your major differentiation? The fourth slide is, what is your customer journey? So this slide's all about showing your product in action, again, from the customer's perspective. It should be a really visual slide. So for early ideas and concepts, we often use storyboards, basically as if you were making a movie, a bit like a comic strip. Or if you're further down the line, you might actually have a prototype for a physical product, or screenshots, maybe a video for sort of digital solutions. You want to highlight key features, how they fit together into a great customer experience. And you might also want to talk about your future roadmap of ideas and new features that you want to bring in. So what are people looking for? It's really, what are the key features and functionality and how they're different to what exists in the market? How does the customer interact with your product? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And what is your product roadmap? The fifth slide is a really good opportunity to talk about any customer testing or positive customer feedback you've had about your solution. So what do customers think of your product? You might not have this if you're pitching a concept or an idea, but if you do, then it's really important to tell your investors, because ultimately a business will only be successful if customers want it. So if you have that insight and feedback, then that's super valuable. On here, you want to show if you have the results of any testing that you've conducted, so market research, customer feedback. You want to show whether customers like, and crucially, if relevant, want to pay for your product. And also, are the founding team open to constructive feedback and iterating the product based on that feedback? Slide number 6 is all about the founding team. So this is often one of the most important slides in any pitch deck. The investors want to know who's driving success and what makes you so unique to executing on that mission and the vision. There's at least 100 other people that have probably had your same idea. So as a general rule, it's only really worth 10%, and actually 90% of success is your idea. The best way to showcase it is usually just with photos, describe the members of your leadership team or co-founders, and then just put a couple of bullet points about what experience they have and ideally relevant to the business that you're pitching. What they're looking for here is why you in particular are the best team of people to solve this problem and build this solution. Slide number 7 is all around who else is solving this problem. So this is your competitor or market analysis. If you don't include this in your deck, you will definitely get asked about it. So it's always a good idea to show it and to be transparent. And it also demonstrates the depth of your research and your knowledge in your chosen area. So you want to show who your competitors are in this space, how you compare to them, and where you land with your solution. We usually suggest showing a table or a diagram to clearly differentiate yourself from the others. They're looking for things like, how crowded is the market already and how many existing solutions are there? What is your unique selling point? And also, how are you going to defend your business from competition in the future? Slide 8 is around commercials. So is your company commercially viable? Even though projections are a bit of a shot in the dark when you're building out a new business, they do provide a good idea of where the business is heading and sort of potential growth. Also gives a good idea to the investor as to how grounded the management of the company is. And with this in mind, it's a really good idea to be more on the conservative side and to under-promise, because then hopefully you'll over-deliver. We usually encourage people to show a range of outcomes, for example, by adjusting your number of customers or adjusting your margins, rather than just showing one revenue figure. Try and show 3 to 5 years of projections. Make sure you're really confident you know the assumptions that underlie your financial model, because you'll often get questions around the numbers that you show on the slide. And also separate to this, you're likely to want to have your financials ready in sort of Excel format, because investors will want to see that probably after reviewing your pitch deck. So you don't need to go into too much detail on the slide, but just provide a nice summary. They're looking to find out, what is your business model? What are your revenue streams? How much does your solution cost to build or implement? Is your solution financially sustainable, profitable? And also, when you're really early stage, at what point might you start to break even? And the last slide in the deck, so slide number 9, is what are your next steps? This is the slide you want to leave up on the screen while you finish your presentation, because essentially it's showing investors your plan of action and what it is you need them to make a decision about. So it's normally funding, but actually it could be advice, it could be connections, it could be something else. If you're asking for funding in particular, you want to show investors what you plan to spend their money on. So we suggest showing a project plan, resources, ideally, although often difficult, costs. Break it down into next steps that are clear, that are achievable. So whether that's launching a pilot or maybe an MVP, which is a minimum viable product, before you actually build out the whole bells and whistles solution, and show your expected outcomes and metrics for success if you do get that funding. So you want to show here how you're planning to phase your development, future features and rollout. How are you going to acquire your customers? So it could be marketing, could be something else. What are your distribution networks? And also, what skills, gaps, or sort of expertise do you need to fill within your team? So like I say, it could be funding, but it could be legal, finance, data, technical expertise, ideally things that the person that you're talking to can actually help you to fill. And that really kind of makes up the body of the deck. And then obviously there's sort of an opportunity to add appendix, where you might put things like, additional images, demos of the product, things like SWOT analysis, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Key stakeholders or people that you want to thank that have helped you on your journey is sometimes really powerful here. And more detailed competitor analysis or financials or anything that you think is relevant, that you think you might get questioned about after your pitch. And that really kind of sums it up. And that's sort of our one-stop shop, 5-minute Dragon's Den pitch format.
Yeah, that's so helpful. And it sounds like from what you're saying there, research is really key to pitching. And it's not about having the perfect product ready to go. It's about really knowing what you're asking for, and then also how important the customer and kind of social pain point as well. You have to really demonstrate the demand for your product.
Yeah, absolutely. I really can't stress enough how important it is that you prove the customer desirability for your solution. This is one thing that we sort of pride ourselves on, really, is back sort of 10, 20 years ago, quite often people would think that they'd come up with the best solution and they'd spend millions of pounds developing it, only to find that customers actually didn't want it. So getting your ideas out at the earliest possible stage and getting feedback from customers is so important, and proving that customer desirability.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I really like how you presented that there with each of the slides. We'll have to type that all out and put that on our Instagram so people can swipe through and see the steps as well. But just thinking about future minisodes, from what you said there, I think it would be great to have you on to talk about an elevator pitch, because this, I think, came up in one of our minisodes about accelerator programs. And that's kind of the real Dragon style den, where you have 60 seconds and you have to go through those kind of 9 bits of information in one go. But then also what an MVP is, because I think that's a really important concept for aspiring entrepreneurs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course. Very happy to come back and talk through those things.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for listening, and I hope you feel ready to take on your next business pitch. As always, you can find us on Instagram at Her Own Boss Podcast, and we would love it if you could subscribe, follow, and leave us a review. I'll see you soon to hear the latest on finding your inner entrepreneur.